blessed unity with the L-O-V-E. Love is a solution, so set your love free with the L-O-V-E. Further evolution and blessed unity.
Good morning, everyone. Hello, beautiful people. Welcome, welcome, welcome to the Self-Love Show with Dawnlight Amora and Trish Wright. Today's topic, we are here to serve you powerfully with 2 tools every week, compassion tools, empathy tools, and this week our topic is addressing confrontation with love and empowerment. And this is a really big one, so I feel like super important to talk about these things and bring these to the surface, because especially with COVID happening and the big changes in the world, how do we address confrontation with love and empowerment? It's a really big one. So here we are. The 2 tools we will introduce today are self-empathy and the compliment sandwich, which we love so much. So it's boundaries with compassion. You know, really meeting your needs and really addressing your boundaries, but also using the compliment sandwich. We'll describe what it is and take you through it. We're going to take you through both tools always, because this is really on our hearts, and this is why we created the show, to be able to give real tools for real issues in life. And so this is our thing. We love to support the growth of self-love, self-empowerment, self-understanding, and ultimately deepen your practice with your relationship with Creator through self-love. So that's our intention of the show, and we're here to serve you powerfully and experience a really amazing call. I want to welcome on the call Trish, my beautiful sister and my partner in the Self-Love Show, and also our 2 guests, Jessica and Candace. So thank you, Trish, for being here with me today, and I'm just so grateful for the opportunity today.
Yeah. Thank you for the most amazing intro and your ever solid support in life. Thank you. I really invite everyone at home and here on the call to give, post down here around how conflict shows up and how you're currently dealing with it, how you're currently moving through, we're stuck inside, we're really close to our loved ones, and how it shows up in your life, how confrontation and how you're working with it. I know that in the past and even now, it's a constant work and progress and process, that even in confrontation, I haven't shown up in my highest, most beneficial self. And really that's where I want to be. I want to show up in love and empowerment and compassion for the people that I love. Not, and trying to compete or trying to debate or play that victim perpetrator role. I don't want to play those anymore. And so Dawn and I really sat down and thought about what we wanted to talk about today. And of course it's coming up because we're all really in close quarters, and we're really, these are the tools that we get to practice and work on all the time. So how does confrontation show up in your life? Go ahead and post, and we can wait, it's over here, I guess, right there. Go ahead and post and follow along. So I invite, how about Candace? How does it show up for you? Do you have a current conflict that's showing up that you want to?
Yeah, I can share. So my first thought with this was I was really dropping into my relationship in the languaging I'm using within myself when I'm confronting myself on something, because this morning I'm in a new relationship, and I noticed this sensitivity coming up in me and this energy, and I was spending time I was confronting myself with it, and then creating that beautiful container to share that with them. And I guess in essence, it wasn't really confronting them about something they did, but it was confronting myself. And then, I really, really like this because I too, when there are harder times, like when I have feelings like nothing. This was me confronting myself and sharing that and witnessing like how nice am I being to myself? Am I giving myself a compliment sandwich? And when I do,
Yay!
yeah, and when I share it, am I making it all about me so much that the person feels bad? Like they did do something, no matter how much I'm talking about me, right? Because I make it like, oh, woe is me, I did this thing. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's where I'm at with that.
I'm like super there with you, Candace. And it really is like the dropping into that self-empathy so that you can show up as a more open, loving, grounded container, right? Absolutely. You're so good. How about you, Jessica? How's it show up for you in your current existence?
In my current existence. One of the things I'm really coming to understand is that in the moment, I have so much love and I'm a yes and absolutely. And, when people ask me and invite me to things, and there's a sense of like overcommitment. And then I get halfway in and then I'm like, oh, shoot, like my needs aren't being met. I don't know how to address that. I don't want to let the person down because I promised them I would do this thing. And so what I'm finding is that my way of handling it is to either burn myself out, which has been in the past, where I was like, well, I said I was going to do this thing, so I really, really got to do it. So at my own expense of my needs. Or I shut down and I run and I don't tell them that like I can't do this anymore, or I'll say I can't do this anymore and then I book it. There's no renegotiating of, here's what I can do right now in this moment. So, and then I shut down and feel bad, and then I avoid confrontation because I don't want to tell the person like, hey, I know I promised I could do this thing and it turns out I really can't. And so then there's like layers of self-judgment and guilt and shame about, am I really this person that doesn't show up and has the best of intentions and desires and then can't fully finish the thing. And so I'm like getting sweaty as I say it because I have so much love and desire to collaborate and play and interact with others. And then when I feel like I fall short of the expectations that I've set, then there's like this ripple effect. And that's been happening. That's actually happened at the house I've been staying at. I was like, yes, I'm full on. I can so do this. And then like, 2 weeks into it, I'm like, oh shit, I can't, I realize you're just, okay. Yeah. Oh crap. Like, I can't do this thing. And now I don't know how to come to the person and say that. So I'm confronting myself really about what are reasonable expectations. So I hope that helps. Does that make sense? Yeah, that's where I'm at.
Confrontation is just showing up. It does. It rears its head a lot because it really touches those places where we want to be heard and seen and felt and understood. And I mean, what do we all want? I mean, what does really everybody really just want? Connection. We all just want connection.
Yeah.
And that's why it touches things, because you want to be seen and held in your vulnerability. How about you, Dawn?
Wow, it's really showing up for me right now in my life. I'm facing this big aspect of myself around, I think it's a really deep belief around feeling like I don't have enough time. And it's because it's funny that COVID happened and my whole world shifted and I was busy working. And it's shifted into a whole nother level of a whole different way of working and being home. And I have all this work to do still, like new work, things that I've always wanted to do that I haven't had a chance. So there's all these areas of building, technical things I have to learn and do, with my business. And yet I'm learning to balance like family life with that and like enough self-care and downtime and like what goes where in my calendar, right? Yeah. And give the child enough time and special time so he feels that I don't choose work over him. And that's a pattern that I'm needing to break in our dynamic. And it's very painful because it's coming forward and it's like I'm needing to meet his need there, and I want to, and yet I'm very pulled and feeling like but if I don't do these things, then it's my livelihood, it's my life, you know what I mean? It's our life. So there's this interesting thing happening that's unfolding. So I'm just really exploring, how can I support myself? How can I support him? What do I need to shed and let go of that's not serving my highest good and my belief structures, that's preventing me from moving forward, to giving spaciousness in my calendar to be able to do it all.
Absolutely. I just want to read a couple comments here. So oh, total breakdown. Surprise, I'm back. I wanted to read some comments. So Scott said, confrontation shows up with the clients I work with. The common denominator is usually the desire to be understood and cared for. That is not happening in the way that people desire. Absolutely. My auntie Summer, she says, confrontation between family members is always what hurts me the most, because I feel attacked. And instead of hitting back, I usually retreat into myself and beat myself up. So I want to just speak to that a little bit, is that, you know, the fight, flight, fawn, and freeze response happens a lot. So sometimes in confrontation, we, you know, like, or we try to please, you know, that there's these ways, and it really, you know, connects to our reptilian brain of trying to survive. And that's what we're working with here, is really just moving through those places and overriding that reptilian brain. And again, what do we want? We just want connection. Camilla says, confrontation. I get confrontational when I want to be heard and understood. Diane also says that confrontation shows up for me when rage is shown in the other person because of my opinion of my own reality. Yes, I avoid it by being quiet and separating. She also says separation works, and being alone rejuvenates us. And I'd like to say something also a little bit about that, is that sometimes separation is just not an option. I mean, as much as I would say, yeah, go take a walk, but sometimes we're, whatever story or whatever the actual physical situation, like maybe you're in the car, you can't like get out of the car, like you can't stop the car and walk home. Well, I have. Yeah. Definitely. I've been like, whoa, and like got out of the car, like just pull over right now and I'll fucking walk the 17 blocks. I don't even care. It'll give me that, you know, but it's like, sometimes the being alone piece, sometimes it's just not an option. And that's what we want to talk about now, is like, you're upset and the other person's upset and it's touching all your wounding and you're feeling like, oh my God, this isn't working. And there's just stuff coming up. So let's go into that. What would you start with, Dawn?
Just getting in touch with what is really being asked of you. You know what I mean? Like, okay, this pain is here for a reason. I'm feeling this very uncomfortable thing. What is it speaking to me? What are my needs that haven't been met? And what are the other person's needs that haven't been met, that are being requested to be reevaluated, you know, Absolutely. Through this experience? Because it just comes down to two people's needs. Or however many people are in that dynamic.
Exactly. Like, thank you for bringing that up. Like, that's exactly it. And, you know, I think that it's easier, maybe, to drop in to figuring out your own needs. So taking the, you know, deep breaths, dropping into yourself, and really addressing what's coming up for you in a place of like non-judging. Like, what is it that I really need here? Which is a really great segue to the first tool.
Yes, it is a great segue to the first tool. I love you, Trish. You're wonderful. So our first tool is self-empathy. And I'm going to lead you through the process. So we're just going to practice the process of self-empathy right now. So go ahead and just take a deep breath and be centered in your heart space. And it's really just about acknowledging the thoughts that's come through. No more than 15 seconds, but just acknowledge that story, that thought pattern that travels through your mind when you're triggered or in confrontation or in whatever is evoking deep emotion or something in your experience. This is in a way to access deeper empathy. So just notice, what is that thought pattern? For me, it was like, I'm never going to have enough time to do what I need to do. It's a story I'm telling myself. And that's just my example of the opportunity. But just notice it, 15 seconds. You don't have to hold on to it and keep reveling in it. Just keep acknowledging for about 15 seconds. What are the thoughts? What are the stories that come through? And just notice what the sentence is. Now I want you to drop down deeper into your heart space. Use your breath. And go ahead and start to state your feelings. What do you feel? What's there? What are the feelings attached to that storyline that wants to travel through your mind? And go a little deeper. Go deeper than that. What do you want? What's your need being expressed right now? What is there? Honoring it that hasn't been met. What's that voice? What is it that's coming up, bubbling up? Use your breath, access it, honor it, feel it, and be honest with yourself. Can the other people meet this need or want? And if not, how can you self-resource and meet your own need in a healthy way? Yeah, take a deep breath into that. For me, it was like the answer for my own personal was to fall back into like, well, I can self-resource here. That was the answer for me. And sometimes it is an opportunity for the other person to really meet your need in the moment. And it's beautiful. Both are okay. It's just an opportunity to get in touch with the need underneath everything, underneath the emotions. And it's allowing yourself to go through the full spectrum of emotion that you may feel and access that deeper need that's really the thing that's driving the trigger, the confrontation to happen. So there you go. That's self-empathy, how to give yourself self-empathy in any moment.
I just want to add to the pieces, like, it's really important to give yourself empathy first, so that there is that you're feeling resourced, that you're feeling that you have you're full when you come to your partner. You're fully stepping into empowerment. You're fully stepping in as like a whole, honest, like vulnerable being that's resourced. And that's really an important piece, is like giving yourself the empathy first so that you can foster more empathy for the other person or really hear them, because you're there. You're in your body, you're embodied, you're present, and you're there. I'd like to open it up to Candace and how she feels about, how you feel about that.
Thank you for the beautiful journey. So I'm going to sound a little mildly cryptic because so basically what came up this morning, I went into something that came up this morning with my new partner. Basically, something came up in the conversation around something about my physical self that I have a lot of wounding around, and I noticed very quickly, like I was like hurt. I noticed like I got triggered really quickly, and And so I remember I was like tired. There was no way I was going to be able to like drop into a conscious conversation. It was too early, hadn't really slept. And so I remember just like saying, I really don't know what just happened. And I don't fully understand what you're saying, but I do know that I'm experiencing it entirely differently and it has nothing to do with you. And I just need to like process this on my own. And I dropped in with myself and just cried and cried and cried. And just now with you on this journey, basically the raw owie is because of this part of myself. If they really see this part of me, it is completely physical. It's a physical part of myself I'm not willing to share about publicly. That I'm ugly. They're not gonna like me. I'm not sexy. I'm not. I'm old, wounded. There's just a lot of story associated with this, and so yeah, I was really able to get to the core of why it hurt me so bad. Like, there's nothing was even said. It was like, yeah. And this is it's been a sensitive spot for my since I was probably 14. So it's not foreign to me to approach this subject and experience this, but I just understand it and was able to empathize with myself on a whole nother level. So thank you.
Thank you for that, Candace. That was such a beautiful, vulnerable share to really access your core of what was up for you and to acknowledge yourself as you're so much more than that. Yeah, I hear your enoughness and I hear your beauty and I see your beauty.
Jessica, how did you feel about the empathy tool?
Yeah, I think part of my mechanism, actually, as I was listening to it, there's like this holding back resistance. Like, no, this isn't safe. What's safe for me is to push away and to have this, the protector walls up, even though I know that's not true. Like my body like feels the defensiveness and that there's like the unknown on the other side of it. Right. Yeah. So I know how to operate. I know how to do this thing. And even though intellectually I know that there's more opportunity on the other side, my body, I can feel in my body of like this, like sharpened sense vigilance, kind of coming up. And so like the self-empathy and resourcing self, like that's becoming more and more of a practice. Yes. And it's been so helpful to be in this community of, beautiful people who are practicing these things. That's a new, that's not in the environment I grew up in. That hasn't been my experience. And now I'm surrounded by people who are practicing self-love and resourcing. And as Candace was sharing, I'll oftentimes arrive in conflict on an empty tank in confrontation. And that's happened with this man that I'm dating, where I'm overtired. I haven't nourished myself well. I want to connect with him. Damn, it's not showing up the way that I want. And like, so when he's fully there and present, because he's resourced himself to be ready for when I show up so that he can be totally there. He's been doing all the practice and the embodiment of that. And in my mind, I'm like, why isn't he taking care of my needs? Why is he taking care of himself first? And like, so he arrives resourced, nourished, available, and present. And I arrive on an empty tank, like, God damn it. Like, why hasn't, and then I put it on him. And then I'm like, bam, you're not meeting me and you're not connecting with me. And I'm feeling this and I'm feeling that. And he's like, just, because he's resourced himself. So he's not tanking it on and he's done his energetic stuff. And then I have to, and then it's like, oh, this is a shadow piece of me of like needs. And what are my needs and how am I taking care of myself? And why am I putting it on someone that I'm seeing to like fulfill those needs for me. Like, and so this is the work, and I feel super blessed. I'm surrounded by people that are in a space of self-love, and they're in active practice of that. And they're like, okay, we're not going to drop you off and leave you, because that's part of my thing too, is like when someone says, I love you, I want to test them. I want to challenge them. Oh yeah? Yeah?
How much do you love me?
Yeah. How much do you love me? How about when I show up like this?
Like this?
Do you still love me?
Oh, yeah.
Really? Come on. I got a whole bag of tricks. Like, hold on a second. And that's so much of my inner operating, because I truly grew up feeling love was conditional.
Yeah.
And the only way that I can receive love is if I'm perfect. And perfect means whatever the other person thinks is good. Yeah. So one of my sub-personalities is the good girl and the people pleaser, and being empathic and feeling everything and thinking it's mine and it's my fault that they're feeling the way that they are. And so there's just all these unwindings and unraveling. So I can be very present to when Dawn was sharing this gorgeous exercise, and my body's like, meh, 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 meh. Like that's, I don't know how to do this thing, or like it's still moving through it.
Well, we can practice it all the time. Yes. But I really resonate with the feeling that the validation comes from the outside, and testing the love, like, oh yeah, you love me. So let's see how far I can push it.
Yeah.
Just to make sure that it's real love. And what I'm seeking is really that place of being seen and understood, and really the connection. And what I've been practicing with Dawn Light here is that, there's this place of wanting more stability and strength in me, so that the other people aren't being forced, or I'm not asking them to be my pillar of strength. Like I want to show up strong and empowered to, Dawn in our relationship together as a friend. I want to come to her not like strung out and being like, I need your support, because I know that I can do that for me. I mean, especially with the tools that we're dropping in constantly, is that I'm like, oh, how much can I resource myself so that when I show up to another person, that the connection there has a clean, like I'm seeing a silk string of connection, like this clean, shiny, beautiful, precious silk string of connection that doesn't have like cobwebs on it. It's just pure, because I'm resourced, Dawn's resourced, and we're like, okay, this is what we're doing. But also when I'm finding myself in conflict, and there was this like slight, we got a little crabby. We were on this. We were doing videos for like literally hours just the other day, and we were tired and we were hungry, and I was like, okay, drop in. What do we need?
We handled it with grace.
Oh yeah, no, totally. There was no conflict per se, but I could see us starting to edge. And that's like understanding that subtle place of like where there's an edge, and being really kind, like what Candace was sharing is like there's these places that we have that are edgy, that are like they're sensitive, and they're really insecure. Like, oh, those are my spots, my soft spots. And you want people to love you there, and we're all learning to love ourselves there.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah, I really understand what you're saying so much. Like this was the very thing that happened to me, and I'm glad you brought it up, Jessica, because the empty tank piece, because I had just like, this is exactly what happened yesterday to me. I had just like coached for 4 hours straight, and I went downstairs to support my child to finish his homework, and he was in great resistance to do it, and it was in the evening time, which is not ideal. I should have just said, you know what, it's fine, like, and then it led into this really like crazy engagement between us. And really it came down to him expressing a need of feeling like I choose work over him. And that's painful, and as an adult, like I have to work. There's the adult side of me that's like, this is my life. I have to work to provide. Yet how do I meet his need, And so I think that it's just a rescheduling of my schedule so that I can always meet his needs, and he never has to feel that way. And that's really big. And it was painful for me to come to that realization in myself of like, that is exactly how I felt about my mom when I was a child.
Ooh.
Yeah.
I feel that.
For me, what's been coming up is that I had this miscommunication with someone through text, and all my insecurities played out. I was like, oh my God, I had the good girl came out, and I was like, oh my God, I wasn't a good girl. I hurt someone's feelings, and like, and then I took a step back and was like, okay, what do I need? What is it that what is the feeling, dropping down into that feeling? Like, what is the feeling? And then dropping back down into what's the need that needs to be, what wants to be seen. And I was like, well, I want connection. I want safety. I want to know that I'm connected with these people that I'm going to see. And I want to make sure that my communication was clear, because I've been, doing my best to be really clear with my wants, needs, and boundaries. And so after sitting there and thinking about it and giving myself empathy, I was like, oh, there's this last piece that I spoke about. So maybe that's that. And it turned out to be literally a joke, a literal nothingness, that it was just a pure joke that was unfinished. And I had to laugh at how perfectly human my stuff came up over literally nothing. I created a story immediately. And I was like, oh, that's so sweet. It's just like, of course it's coming up, just to be worked on and to love through. And we forget to love are just like the innocent, pure places. And I invite other people to just share what the places that they want to be seen for, and the innocent pieces that they want to be loved for. And let's, give some shout outs there of, what do you want to be seen for today? What vulnerable piece do you want to share that or not vulnerable, like whatever you want to share that wants to be seen, that comes up.
Can I share something? Yeah. I think part of it too is on the receiving end, they don't know what you want, right? So if I'm sharing about the situation that I'm going through, and one of my friends I'm staying with, he's like, do you want me to just listen right now? Are you asking me for guidance? Do you need a solution?
Mm-hmm.
Like, what is it that you need? And Heather Ashamara talks about that, about, when you're starting a communication or a share with somebody, to identify what is it that you're asking for from the receiver. And so I'm seeing that too. Like, I would really love to be appreciated right now as I share this piece. And, so to me, I feel like that also helps both of our nervous systems, that I'm sharing what it is that I desire to experience in the moment. Mm-hmm. And then the other person can either be on board with that or not. But instead of like running through their head, like, do I need to be paying attention? Do I need to have a solution? Do I have it? Yeah. Like, do I need to solve something, or is it just being present? So
I call that consensual conversations. So like when I show up, like, hey, we have you can speak. We haven't muted you. The consensual conversation piece is also important, but I'd like to drop that tool a little later. I'll talk briefly about it. It looks a lot like, hey, I have something really important to talk to you about. It's nothing like super dangerous. Again, if you have something really important, you might want to give some reassurance that it's not going to be like life ending or your world's not going to crumble. But it's, hey, I really want to have a conversation with you. It's really important to me. And I'm wondering if you're resourced to have this. And if not now, then can we create some time for it so that both people are on board with what is going to happen. And it really is like my a couple partners ago, my ex-fiance, he and I developed this conversation, consensual conversations, because it was so important for us to be resourced. He had a job that he went to and was like, when he got home, I'm like, oh my God, I have this thing that I want to say to you. It could have been like anything. And he was like, I don't have time. I need 25 minutes of my own thing, and then we can drop in, and I'll tell you when it's good for me, and we can check back in. But this also brings me to our next tool. Oh,
can I just share something? Cool. So this is kind of a little tool I use that's like an add-on to what you just shared. So boundaries, fears, and desires. Creating, and so one of the ways I remember that is big effing deal. Like, do not go into, like, it's a great way to set this container. Like when you're in the container, you talked about creating in the container. Then when you drop in with that person to go to these deep places, it's really nice to sit with one another and talk about the big effing deal, boundaries, fears, and desires, and set the stage very clearly, as crystal clear.
Yes, exactly. And there's, BFD. There's also other sort of acronymy things, like there's one I've heard called RBDSM, which is relationship status, boundaries, desires, sexual history of some sort, and then meaning of that. And I always thought that the meaning would be really, I like what you're saying, is like really addressing those things. Like, hey, we'll go into a consensual conversation piece, like not in this show though. Dawn, would you like to say anything about any of that?
I'm just appreciating so much the spaciousness to just explore like the depths of my being, like, and be vulnerable in the moment, because it's unresolved, and like it feels so good to just disclose what's up and like show up in the fullness of myself, even in the undoneness, and that's okay. Like, it's okay, because I fully acknowledge that it's a piece that needs to, it's a place that's showing me in my life where I need more attention and time and love. And I'm so excited because it's a healing opportunity. And I really acknowledge it's an opportunity to show me a new way, show me a new way to love myself and to give to myself, and show me a new way to give to my child in a way that he needs, and my family ultimately, and all the people I serve, clients, loved ones, friends, everyone. It's just like a ripple effect, right? Out from myself.
Good point. I mean, what you give to yourself is what you can give to others.
Yeah.
So let's go on to the next tool. We are now boundaries with compassion. How to do that, as well as really addressing the conflict. So it's not about passing over the conflict. It's about really getting to the heart of it, and really giving yourself, each other, the empathy. So really, again, self-empathy is a really big key piece here. So I invite you all at home to just follow along as well. As Dawn always says, it's not the issue that's the issue. It's how you relate to the issue that's the issue. And so really just think about that piece. It's not the issue that's the issue. It's how you relate to the issue that's the issue.
It's how you relate to yourself when you're going through the issue that is the issue.
Girl. So if you can think of the last conflict, or if you're in a current conflict, really tune in to what boundary, your personal boundary, that you feel has been crossed. What physical sensations arise in your body? Like, where do you feel it? Where is it in your, like, is it in your chest, in your shoulder, in your neck, in your forehead, in your legs? What are your feelings around that? What are your thoughts? And just give it just a moment. Now think about the other person and turn toward your feelings with kindness, both for yourself and for the other person. Because again, those people on the other side of this conflict, that's another person. That's a person you love. That's someone that you connect to, that you have felt some safety with. And they also have an inner child. Investigate the needs connected to your feelings. Again, so dropping down to the thoughts, feelings, the needs. What is the need there? Could be a need for safety, for being seen, for authenticity. It could be a need for understanding, or touch, or play. Acknowledge the boundary that you have. Like, oh, that didn't feel very good. And really the key piece here is knowing what didn't feel good and what the need is. And those pieces are really important there. Just hold on to that. And then cultivate a compassionate boundary in words. So here's where you add the kind of compliment sandwich piece. So again, starting with yourself, you're dropping into the need and what it felt like and what you want, what your need is. And then you say to, like, as you're sitting in front of the person, you can open your eyes and then, or imagine this happening with the other person. We can aspect a little. So start with the good. When you're setting a boundary, start with the good. Hey, I really love the way that you do ... I really appreciate this. You do these things really well in our relationship. And after setting some reassurance, because that's a really big piece of setting boundaries, because people, again, want to be connected. They don't want to feel withdrawn. Like if you come to someone and you're like, rah, 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 like we want someone to show up and be like, hey, you're doing these things that are fucking amazing. And what I really want is I need to share this piece with you so that we can just negotiate a boundary here. So then you kind of drop in and you be direct. So clarity, honesty, and come with your needs and wants. So that's leading with compassion. So, okay, hey, I have this boundary. This is what it looks like. Please don't touch my shoulder on the right side because I have a scar there that is numb and it doesn't feel good. It creeps me out. I don't actually have a scar there, but I'm just randomly picking some piece out of the ethers.
I do.
Oh, so there, she does. So it's like, hey, please don't touch that place. And you touch my hands really well. You touch my face really well. When you show up and when you're really like honest and vulnerable, I love that piece. And I really can't have you touching my shoulder because it hurts. Mm. And then you're like, then you can drop in even further. So leading with compassion. Hey, I'd like to understand why you want to touch my shoulder, or what is there a meaning there for you that about the right shoulder that I'm not understanding? Yeah, I mean, so then giving the person the opportunity to share, oh, the right shoulder means that you love me. The left, not so much, but the right one. Some of my examples just were iffy here. But so even though you might be the person feeling the conflict or feeling the hurt and the pain, also considering the other person. Again, this person is someone you love. This person is the mirror of you, someone that you want to feel connected to. So considering the other person and how you show up with them is also really important. So you're like, oh, I heard what you said around the right shoulder. It's a really touching piece. Giving them some empathy as well. And then asking them if the boundary that you set is agreeable to them. Do you have any other suggestions that would work better? What is important for you in this? Maybe you don't want to touch the scar piece, but maybe somewhere over here. Or maybe the right hand. Like, can we negotiate a place that feels good? I mean, there's, of course, really strong boundaries of like, you can't cross this boundary. And then there's places that can negotiate. Like, girl, I need to touch your right shoulder, or we are just not able to have a connected relationship. Then I might need to come back into self-empathy and think about that. The other piece is really letting go of the outcome of your boundary. So that right there, letting go of the outcome of what both of you want, to really open the space of creating connection and relationship. Of course, this piece is the hardest piece because it's really like you want connection and you want it your way. You're really dropping in and opening it up. And then the last piece of this is ending or completing the conversation with reassurance and gratitude. We want connection, and connection is important. It takes vulnerability and honesty to really show up and create this. But it's also really important to really create the connection through reassurance that I'm not going anywhere just because I can't give you my right shoulder. But I really appreciate your honesty and vulnerability in that. I'd like to open it up and see how everyone felt about that. And please, like, put it in the chat. How did you feel? Like, what did you get out of this tool?
Can I share?
Yes, please.
Yes.
Permission, giving myself lots of permission was like one of the big things that came up for me with this. And then a lot of inquiry around, so with clients, I have some hard boundaries that just love getting pushed. And, you know, for 8 years now, I feel like it's been a lifetime of learning how to navigate people's sexual desires for me. We'll just put it all in one little bottle like that. And navigating this art with people that I don't even know. And my genuine desire is to show up with the utmost love, but then knowing that, wow, because they're in this space, like I may be able to like send them an awesome text, like loving them this way. I may not. And I definitely am not capable of seeing certain people as a client because of this. Not that they're not worthy of my love, but I have stuff and my boundaries, they're you know, I just got to know where, like you said, let go of the outcome, but also being aware, like this person is not capable of honoring that boundary. Yeah.
And that's honoring yourself. That's making a self-honoring choice to honor that. To know that, okay, that's my boundary. Why am I going to put myself in a situation that's not going to serve them or me? Is what I'm hearing you say. So that's healthy. That's choosing self-love.
Yeah. And trying to get them to remember, like, you know, it's one of the things I love, you know, telling them, like, you are so worthy of everything you desire from me. I just can't give it to you, boo.
Yeah. I mean, and that brings a good point, Candace, is that there are some boundaries that can't be negotiated. There are hard limits in our lives. There are just places that we absolutely cannot cross. And those, you know, some people just need those things from us that you can't give. And that also has another conversation to it. That's choosing you over another person's needs and wants. Like, that's incredibly important piece. And it's not about trying to negotiate to see if, like, you can do these things for them and let go of yourself. And that really is the foundation of our show, is like really showing up for you and honoring your own boundaries.
I'd like to add that as you were sharing that, I realized that I haven't expressed what connection looks like to me really well with the man that I'm dating. So instead, I'm like, I want connection. I want connection. I want connection. I want connection. And it's like this is how I'm like, give me. And he's like, I don't know what you want. What does that connection look like?
Ooh.
And, you know, I know you want to communicate. Do you want to communicate every day? Is this like a FaceTime thing for 3 hours? My nervous system can't handle it. I'm like, but I need to connect. You know, so there's like, I can feel it in my body that I'm like, wow, I haven't really expressed to him what connection looks like and feels like and sounds like to me. And so all I said is like, I want more connection. And he's like, I can't give that to you. So then it's this sense of like, I'm not a priority. This isn't important to him, you know, And when I could be saying, you know, what connection really looks like to me, because what comes up for me, I'm like, are these my inner child needs? Is it anxious attachment needs? Is it, you know, truly a human need that's like valid? Or am I projecting on him to fulfill something that I'm not fulfilling in myself?
all needs are precious and deserve to be received,
Yeah.
mostly by you.
Right.
But I mean, she's bringing up a great point. Is like knowing what your boundary is and knowing what you mean by that. Yay! Love.
Kid. Aw.
Good.
More.
Hi.
How's it going?
We love kisses.
Sorry,
really
I'm
knowing what
your party.
Oh, all is welcome, please. But knowing what your boundary
First
is,
man on the show.
knowing what your boundary is, knowing what is connection and love, and what your wants and needs are, is really important to be able to share that. And I just want to bring up Jay, whose light touch is a great way to communicate. And Jay is a founder of a program called Light Touch, and it is a fabulous program for deeper connection and really slowing down the
Autonomic nervous system.
Yes, that one. Ooh, that word. So it says, is a great way to communicate. Send blessings to each other. Circulating blessings with light touch is another way to align together in perfect love.
Mm.
And, I really invite you all to check out Jay's, the Facebook Lives that he's doing, and his setup in his program is amazing.
Can I share on that?
Yeah.
So tomorrow at our show, Fun Frolicking Friday, we will have another coming together and co-creation with Jay bringing light touch, and we'll be combining it with really fun celebration of really celebrating our unique selves, letting ourselves be the superstar and putting one another up on a pedestal and like screaming, woohoo, you're awesome, you rock. Like, yeah. So that's just a little, I just wanted to put that little peep in for tomorrow and bringing together that art was shared with just abundant celebration, putting yourselves in a throne and pedestaling yourselves and doing the same for others on the same level.
Awesome.
Yeah.
So Don, did you have anything you wanted to share about just anything else that you'd like to share about showing up in confrontation in your empowerment and in love?
Just to remind each person that they can meet their needs while meeting others. That you can get in touch with a deeper need that's seeking to be expressed from both parties, and that, like, for me, I'll bring it back to me, relate it to me, right? What I'm going through is, I think that my great need I have this very strong need to serve and to really put my work into the world, and I'm actively doing this, and yet I have simultaneously a strong need to play, and I think there's some shedding and some layers happening around work and play. And I'm really excited to investigate that. And I know that I can meet my child's need for play and pleasure and enjoyment and quality time. That is his need seeking to be expressed. And I have that same very need. So it's not that my need for work needs to override his need for play, or his need for play needs to override my need for work. That they can coexist together. And I love that I can bring that language forward. And in the moment, even though it's not, I'm just giving an example of what it's like to be raw and vulnerable with an unresolved piece, like to
Yes.
speak to it right in the moment, because this is literally just happened yesterday and I haven't had a chance, even though my child and I had a very deep sharing and a lot of tears shed and a very heartfelt experience afterwards. There's still an evolving process happening. So to just trust your process when the triggers come, because they're there for a reason and they're a golden opportunity to investigate the deeper feelings, the deeper needs, the deeper parts of ourselves that are shedding and letting go of the old behaviors that aren't working anymore, and like stepping into the newer, higher way of relating with ourselves and others through trigger opportunity.
Yes. Thank you.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Well, we're about time. Does anyone want to share a brief piece about addressing confrontation with love and empowerment before I start wrapping up?
I think it's just such a new paradigm of relating, and that the trigger and the confrontation can be for it to be the doorway to deeper intimacy and connection, rather than being the thing that creates the separation and dissolution of the relationship and connection. That's like such a new world and exploration. I feel super, super blessed to be surrounded by beautiful people who are committed to that practice and bringing that, because again, that's largely how most of us did not grow up. You know, I saw it in my parents' marriage, that the conflict and confrontation created more of the divide and the separation and the anger and the hurt, and it just kept building to the point that I was like, you know what, I don't think I want to get married. I don't think I want that. I don't know if I want to be in a committed relationship, you know. But there was such a deep desire also to connect. So it's like I couldn't see how the confrontation could be the doorway to deeper intimacy, and that's what I'm being surrounded by in people in my life right now. So super grateful.
My coach did say that pain and betrayal is more intimate than, it's the most intimate place that you can touch in someone else. So I was like, oh, I've been sitting with that for a little while. I'd like to give a shout out to Candace and Jessica for showing up on the show. Thank you very much for showing up. I'd also like to give a shout out to the Love Coach Academy and Scott Thomas for just being a super awesome human, and really, and Jay Mayer for really, you know, bringing our work together and giving amazing shows and tools for deeper connection and love, and really vibrational, uplifting moments. Please check out the Love Coach Academy, all the rest of their shows as well. There's great shows on Mondays, every day of the week for anything that you want. You can go to you can go check out Love Coach Academy, and they've on both Facebook and their website, which is amazing. Please check them out. And if you want to hear more from Miss Dawn Light and I, please check out the Self-Love Show on Facebook, and soon to be YouTube, and all of the other places. Just keep following along. And if you like the show, please share it. Please like the page, and please like the show. I'm really grateful for you all watching and participating and being so vulnerable in the chat room. I really appreciate you really showing up for yourselves and for your self-love. Yeah. Thank you all very much. Thank you, Dawn.
Thank you. And I just wanted to say also, if anyone has like any burning questions or desires around like practices or tools that they want to bring forward and what's up for you, please reach out, you know, meet us in Facebook, and send us on the self-love page a message, you know, because we're really open to serving the greater community, right? Because it's all about the expansion of self-love and self-awareness. And that's our desire and our strong intent for the show. So we are here to serve you. So please, like, give us feedback, give us information, give us content, because we're working with it and we want it.
Yeah, we want to work with you specifically. So, like, bring it in.
Viewers.
Let us, and
our viewers.
Yes. Well, thank you, Miss Dawnlight. Thank you all for showing up. Have a wonderful Thursday.
Yes, have a great week.